Good morning. Happy Thursday morning. Post Deebo Samuel trade request day. Have a little update for you. According to a source, 49ers center Alex Mack has not been present at the first 2 days of the 49ers voluntary offseason program. Now, normally with any of these attendance issues at the voluntary offseason program, we don't freak out. We don't read too much into things. A lot of veterans currently aren't there for the 49ers because, again, these are voluntary offseason workouts, and we're still early in phase one. No practice time yet. This is just conditioning stuff, maybe some meetings. But in the case of Alex Mack, we're paying attention because there has been no official public word on Alex Mack's future, at least yet. He's finished 13 seasons in the NFL. He's 36, going on 37 years old in November. He just got married in Ireland. And Alex Mack, ever since year 10 in the NFL, every offseason, he has contemplated retirement. And every time he's decided to come back. But this offseason is no different. Alex Mack is again contemplating retirement. And it's not entirely clear if he's going to be back in 2022 or not. John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have said that it's leaning toward Alex Mack returning. They expect him to return, maybe even because of how hard he's been working out, but we're still in a limbo zone. And because Alex Mack has not been present for those first 2 days of the offseason program, we still wonder if he shows up, if he walks through that door on Thursday, today, then maybe our questions are answered. But right now, we still have to pose the question, what if Alex Mack retires? And that is the article up on the screen on The Athletic that just came out a few minutes ago this morning. I think the 49ers have three options if Alex Mack does retire. So if you want to follow along on the article while I talk right now, I'm going to post the link in the chat section for you. Get your coffee out, have some nice morning reading, because while everybody is freaking out about Deebo Samuel and talking about Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance, a lot of this doesn't matter if the 49ers don't have a decent offensive line. And I don't think they've done enough on the offensive line yet this offseason to be in a spot where they can be confident that they can take this team to a Super Bowl, because it's cost them in past playoff runs, and the 49ers still need to add on to that offensive line. And as of right now, with uncertainty at the center position and that spot being so important to the offensive line, the 49ers definitely face serious questions that they have to address. And Alex Mack might address one of the questions for them if he does show up to the offseason program, or he can address it in an entirely different direction if he does retire. So if that ends up happening, if this multi-year NFL stalwart, one of the great centers really of all time, Alex Mack was the center of the decade in the 2010s, if he does walk away, what are the 49ers options? Well, I told you I'd break it into three options. And your option is to check out the article that is linked in the chat section that I'm going to put on the comments section as soon as this live is done. So subscribe to the channel now, subscribe to The Athletic. And option one is Daniel Brunskill. Is Daniel Brunskill, who recently signed his restricted free agent tender. He'll be playing for a pay raise, $2.43 million this year, as opposed to $850,000 last year. So he's got a nice new chunk of change in his pocket. Is Brunskill a legitimate option to start at center? Maybe I should put option, not open to start at center. It's early in the morning. Sometimes I'll have a spelling error there. All right, we fixed it. Is Daniel Brunskill a legitimate option to start at center? Well, for 8 games of that 2020 season, two years ago, when the 49ers had horrific problems at center after Western Richburg didn't come back due to injury, after Ben Garland got hurt. Remember Hronis Grossu? He was absolutely terrible in that game against Seattle. The 49ers dealt with what felt like a record amount of pressure up the A-gap. It was an illustration of why center is so important. You have to be able to cerebrally understand what's going on in those blitzes up the middle. Otherwise, Bobby Wagner is going to come at you 55 times in the middle of the game. DJ Reed's going to blitz right up the A-gap. That happened in that one against the Seahawks. And Jimmy Garoppolo's not going to stand a chance, or whoever your quarterback is. Trey Lance not going to stand a chance. No pressure hits a QB faster than A-gap pressure. So the center position is important to, A, neutralize A-gap pressure by understanding how the defense is moving around, but B, for so many other reasons. And the 49ers really struggled with that after both Richburg and Garland were unavailable in 2020. Grossu just didn't cut it. That was a huge issue for the 49ers. They had to yank him on a short week. They played Green Bay on the Thursday after that Seattle game, and Brunskill was starting at center. And that was essentially the 49ers' fourth string option. Now, Brunskill delivered passable play for the 49ers at center, but he still ranked number 22 of 31 centers in pass blocking efficiency. And history has shown us that Kyle Shanahan has a track record of investing in needle-moving talent at the position. Take this. Shanahan in 2016, second season as the offensive coordinator of the Atlanta Falcons. So first year. They had built up the offense a little bit, but they weren't anything near a juggernaut. Shanahan makes sure that the front office goes out and signs Alex Mack to big money. Shanahan had previously coached Alex Mack in 2014 at Cleveland, so he knew what he was getting. And the 49ers and the Falcons at the time were happy to pay that kind of money to the center. The offense goes into turbocharge mode as soon as Alex Mack shows up and starts handling the offensive line tweaks, adjustments to the line of scrimmage, starts tracking the safety rotation. Smart guy out of Cal, even a Stanford guy right here will say that. Alex Mack definitely made it work for the Falcons in 2016, was a huge part of that offense, breaking records in that season. Fast forward to Shanahan being with the 49ers, takes over in 2017. In 2018, big money to Weston Richburg. Again, not a coincidence the 49ers paid big money for a center. Now, Richburg obviously didn't work out because of injury issues, but Shanahan felt that he was a premier center in his scheme, and he was willing to pay big money for it. Fast forward again to 2021, the season after the 2020 debacle at the center position, 49ers go out and sign Alex Mack. So that's Shanahan's third stint with Alex Mack on 3 different teams. So Shanahan has a track record of investing needle-moving talent at center, which is why I think option 1, Daniel Brunskill, settling for that at the center position. I don't think that's the way that the 49ers ultimately want to go. I don't think that's the preferred option. Again, Brunskill's also your right guard right now, unless somebody can beat him out. And I think the 49ers want that to happen. I think they would prefer if Jalen Moore could beat out Brunskill at right guard, because then Brunskill can go back into his swing tackle role, his swing offensive lineman role, right? He's played 4 or 5 positions for the 49ers. But at this point, I think moving Brunskill to center, that it would mark a downgrade for the 49ers at multiple positions, potentially, especially at the all-important one of center. So then we talk about option 2. JC Tretter, formerly of the Browns, is one of the NFL's best centers. And he's currently a free agent. He's available. Here's JC Tretter. We'll make the graphic big for y'all so you could see where JC Tretter ranks in pass blocking grade over the past 3 years and run blocking grade over the past 3 years. Pass blocking grade, number 2 of all NFL centers in 2019. Number 2 of all NFL centers in 2020. Number 2 of all NFL centers in 2021. Ranking him in run blocking grade against all NFL centers, 19, number 16, 2020, number 6, 2021, number 10. So what happened about that jump, from 19 to 20? Well, Kevin Stefanski took over as Cleveland's coach between 2019 and 2020. And Kevin Stefanski runs an outside zone scheme similar to Kyle Shanahan's. So that's significant to me, because you're in a situation here where you need a zone blocking center. And JC Tretter's pedigree as a pass rusher is mighty as a pass blocker is mighty impressive. The 49ers need somebody who can anchor in pass protection, who is smart enough to be able to run the whole offensive line, to tackle the cerebral duties of the center position. Tretter has shown that. But you also need somebody who fits into that zone blocking scheme. And I think the bump that we see here from number 16 in 2019 to number 6 under Stefanski in 2020 in that zone system with Cleveland, I think that shows that JC Tretter could be the right man for the job. So it almost seems like a fit that might be too good to be true for the 49ers, right? If Alex Mack retires. Well, if there is a downside, and hey, Tretter has been an Iron Man. He hasn't missed a game over the past 5 seasons. In 5 years with the Browns, he didn't miss a single game. But he didn't practice all that much, especially toward the end due to knee and ankle issues. So he played through a lot of these issues. But If the 49ers are looking for a center that practices all the time to help usher Trey Lance along, there might be that issue with JC Tretter. But still, at the end of the day, showing up on Sunday is what matters. Tretter has done that. There's value here, and the 49ers might have to pay for it because of how much value there is there. $10 million a year, maybe somewhere, in that ballpark range. I think Tretter was going to command a big contract. The good news for the 49ers as far as being able to afford that is if Alex Mack does retire, that's going to free up about $5.5 million in 2022 cap space. Theoretically, with that money, you could backload a deal for JC Tretter if this is that important to Kyle Shanahan, if this investment is that important to Kyle Shanahan, and you'd be able to fit Tretter on the on the team. That would be your option number 2. Option 3, the 49ers can draft a center. Tyler Linderbaum from Iowa, he's supposed to go in round 1. So unless the 49ers trade Deebo Samuel and have a first-round pick, I don't think he is a realistic option. Cam Jurgens from Nebraska, he might be around in that second round. Athletic guy, twitchy athlete. Dylan Parham out of Memphis. Now, Parham, you talk about a twitchy athlete. He visited the 49ers just on Tuesday. This guy used to be a track star, and I don't mean a shot put guy. He used to be a triple jumper and a sprinter in high school. And you can't discount those track athlete linemen. Talk about Weston Richburg. He was a sprinter back in his middle school days. I know it was a while ago, but it's still impressive when these guys who have big bone bodies to be linemen can be sprinters and real track athletes, not just the throwing sports. They can be real running, jumping athletes at earlier points of their athletic careers. Well, those are the types of guys that Kyle Shanahan likes with his own blocking scheme. Cole Strange, I've written about him. I've talked about him on the channel out of Chattanooga. He has a 3rd-round grade. He can also move, but he's got positional versatility under his belt. He's played middle linebacker in high school. He's played defensive end. He's played tackle on the offensive side, and he's played guard. For a center position, Alex Mack, so smart. You go to JC Tretter, NFLPA president. Alex Mack is the treasurer of the NFLPA, by the way. So they're, centers have a lot in common. These guys are smart leaders. But you look at Cole Strange, all that positional experience, if you're trying to make a projection to how is this guy going to mentally handle the chess match portion of the game that's so important for center. You're lining up with one hand down on the football. You've got a 320-pound nose tackle ready to blow you up, and you have to make a ton of calculations on the fly before all that physical exertion. Well, the fact that Cole Strange is familiar with a lot of positions on the football field, the fact that he's played linebacker, defensive end, tackle, guard, and now center, I think makes him, you could project that he's going to be mentally able to handle that job well. By the way, with Cole Strange, no Chattanooga football player has been drafted in the top 5 rounds since 1996, when Terrell Owens went in round number 3 to the 49ers. Luke Fortner, another name that I really like. He's out of Kentucky. He has guard center versatility. So if the 49ers, you look at option 1, Daniel Brunskill, so existing veteran. And I guess under Daniel Brunskill and under option 1, I would also include the 49ers sticking with somebody on their roster, and they have Jake Brendel on the team right now. So Jake Brendel is a veteran. He started 3 games for the Dolphins in 2018. He impressed the 49ers with a good training camp to make the 53-man roster last year. But I still see Brendel as depth, and I still see Brunskill ideally as depth for the center position. So even though option 1's on the table, I don't view it as all too legitimate of a one. If the 49ers really want to move the needle here moving forward, and Shanahan has shown the propensity to try to move the needle at center, you have option 2, somebody like Tretter, obviously the best center on the market. You go to a veteran like the 49ers have done multiple times now with Richburg and with Alex Mack. Or option 3, you draft a center. Now, that I don't think that going to option 2 or even option 1 precludes option 3. I think you could do both 1 and 3, or both 2 and 3. So again, this is all assuming Alex Mack retires. But if Alex Mack does retire, you can sign JC Tretter, and you could also draft the center. And then you could run the apprenticeship that you had initially planned to run with Alex Mack. Now, if Alex Mack doesn't retire, same thing. Go to option 3, draft the center. And the 49ers just hosted Dylan Parham on a visit yesterday. So use the wealth of knowledge that a veteran would give you, whether it be JC Tretter or the current guy on the roster, Alex Mack, use that wealth of knowledge to run an apprenticeship at a position that's so important to this offense, and finally start making some improvements to that offensive line. That'd be my recommendation to the 49ers. Run both options 2 and 3. Now, 2 is interchangeable. If Mack doesn't retire, Mack's name is in there. He can be the teacher of the apprentice. But option 3, to me, I like all of these prospects. Linderbaum, probably a pipe dream, but Cam Jurgens, Dylan Parham, Cole Strange, Luke Fortner, all guys that fit the 49ers profile at that center position. So those of you just waking up, just joining, some news this morning. Alex Mack has not been present for the first 2 days of the 49ers offseason program, per a source. So I'm relaying it to you. That means that we still have no official word on Alex Mack's status, and we have to ask ourselves the question, what if Alex Mack retires? I'll copy and paste the link to the article, which is up on the screen one more time here, into the chat section. Maybe I'll answer 1 or 2 questions, but then I have to go. There you go. Check it out. Alex Mack, JC Tretter, rookie options. Subscribe to The Athletic, and let's take a look to see if some of you guys have good questions. David Yang, 49ers desperately need to upgrade right guard. Brunskill just doesn't cut it as a full-time starter. I don't see Brunskill as a natural guard. You know, he's a former tight end at San Diego State. He had a good year in 2019, and that was mainly at the tackle positions. I think you need quality O-line depth, especially in a 17-game regular season, and Brunskill is perfect for that. Brunskill could give you good spot tackle reps, and hey, he could even be a backup center, as we've seen in 2020. But a full-time starting right guard, it's tough because he doesn't anchor as well. You know, he's more of a movement guy. He can get out in space, but some of these defensive tackles are maulers in the NFL, right? I mean, I get it. He's had some of his success against Aaron Donald, but I think you're absolutely right. I think in an ideal world, you have Jalen Moore take over right guard effectively. You have Aaron Banks take over left guard effectively. You have a veteran manning the center position, whether that be Alex Mack or JC Tretter. You have Mike McGlinchey healing at right tackle and being effective there. And then you have Daniel Brunskill fortifying the offensive line with really quality depth, like you saw in 2019. That's a lot of things that have to go right, which is why I've been so critical of the 49ers' progress along the offensive line, because they're going to have to hit a parlay now, I think, to be true contenders along the offensive line. Can they do it? Sure. But it's a tall task. There's a lot the 49ers need to do up front. All right, let's take a look at some more questions. Is Tretter looking for a payday? I don't know what kind of payday he's looking for, but he's a premier center. Hasn't missed a game in 5 years. Played every single one for the Browns. So dude is solid. And I think that's going to be worth at least $10 million per year. All right, cool, guys. That's it. I've got to get going. Time for me to go eat some breakfast. So what if Alex Mack retires? Well, you can subscribe to the channel, rewatch this video as many times as you want, and go check out that article in the chat and the comment section talking about Alex Mack and the 49ers. 3 options, and there are many sub-options under those options. All right, guys, take care. Everybody have a great day. We'll be back with you soon, and just be thankful this video was not about Deebo Samuel.